As soon as Premiere is open, you're going to want to click on New Project. Project. And then from here, right in location, you're going to hit Browse. And you're going to go to the project folder you have on your desktop. So you're just going to select it. For me, it's my project lesson. And I'm going to select folder. And then under name, this is the name of your Premiere project file. So I'm just going to call it my project file. Also, if you're lacking behind, right now we're on the notes. We're on step number 1. Now you just click OK. And that should open up Premiere. So now moving on to step 2. What we're going to do now is we're going to import the files we have inside our project folder inside Premiere. And to do that, we're gonna double click on this panel here. We're gonna go to the desktop. We're gonna find our project folder. And let's just import your main video. So whatever video you have, we're gonna start with that. When it comes to your project panel, this is basically just the container of Adobe Premiere. Nice. You can either view things as a list like this, or if you click on this icon on the bottom, you can view things as thumbnails instead. This is my video here. Yeah. So once you have your video inside the project panel, we're going to click and drag it into the timeline panel. And that creates a timeline. And within this panel here, this is where we're going to be adding our images, our audio, our other videos, our captions. To play your video, you just use the spacebar on your keyboard. So just it previews your video normally, or you can also just click and drag this blue marker as well. So we're going to move on to step number 3. I'm going to show you how to cut or trim your videos. So in this example here, I just have like a nature video. And let's say I want to cut this last section. I don't want this last part. What I'm going to do is in between the timeline panel and the project panel, we have the toolbar. And in here we have a tool called the eraser tool. If you click on it, you activate it. And now if I hover over my timeline, and let's say I want to click here, it makes a cut right where I had my eraser tool over. Now let's say I want to delete this section here. I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm going to select this last piece here, and now I'm just going to click delete on my keyboard. And that's how you get rid of that last piece. So now if I were to play my video, it'll stop there and the video of this shore will be gone. So that's one way to trim my video. Another way to trim videos is by clicking and dragging the ends of them. So when I click and drag, or when I hover over the end here, I get this red, sort of red cursor arrow. And if I click and drag this back, I'm basically shaving off that last bit of clip. And now it's gone. So it depends on which way you want to cut. The fastest way to cut is if you hover over with the blue marker, and let's say I want to make a cut right where the blue marker is. Instead of using the eraser tool, I'm going to use Control and K. Control K. And that just automatically makes a cut wherever you have the blue marker. So I recommend doing the shortcut instead. It might be easier because that way you don't have to switch back and forth between the eraser tool and the selection tool. And I'm just going to delete this part here. So now you can go ahead and try trimming your video. In order to zoom in into the timeline, there's this bottom bar at the bottom of the timeline. If you click and drag this end, you're basically zooming in into the timeline. Right, if you do decide to cut, you can always undo using Control Z. Also, one other thing about cutting is that, so in this example here, I cut the end. If I want to bring back my video, I can either undo with Control C, or I can do the opposite. I can hover over the end, make sure I have the red cursor, click and drag it forward, and that brings back anything that I might have gotten rid of. So it's back to where it was. Okay, so now we're going to move on to step number 4. We're going to be importing images into our project. So we're going to start the same way. We're going to double click on our project panel, like so. We should open up the Explorer window. And I'm just going to import an image. It's a JPEG. Click open. And it should place it inside my project panel. Okay, so now I'm going to be clicking and dragging my image that's inside the project panel. I click and drag this into my timeline and make sure that it's snapping to the beginning of your video. So, and you want to have it above your video. So within the timeline, things are layered. So the video will go on top and audio files will go at the bottom. So in this example here, this represents my video. And this bottom bar here, the one with you can see tiny little grooves, that's the audio layer. And this here, which I just dragged in, is my image. So if I hover over my timeline on this image, you're going to see the image appear at the top.
This is pretty cool because this is how you can not insert an image, but put the image on top of your video that you have.
Yeah. One common mistake that you might make is that when you're importing an image, you might overlap it with your current video. You don't want to do that because that gives you only the image and not what's behind. So you want to make sure that the image is above your current video. To modify the image, say I want to have the image in the bottom right corner. In the preview panel, I'm going to double click on my image, and that should activate this blue sort of transformation border. And with this border here, you can click and drag your image. If you click and drag one of the corners, it actually resizes your image as well. If you hover over a corner a little bit farther away, it changes into this sort of a double-headed arrow icon. If you click on that, you can rotate the image. But for now, I'm just gonna resize it and put it on the corner here. Like so.
I think you could go through that one more time.
Yes.
Just repeat all these steps.
So again, I want to make sure that I double click my image. And if you can't see your image, make sure that your blue marker is right above where you have your image in the timeline. I double click it. It gives me the blue border. And with this blue border, I can click and drag my image around. If I want to resize my image, I'm going to click and drag one of the corners like this.
It's a lot like what you would do on Word, right?
Right. Yes, it's simple. If you want, I can show them how to do the, yeah.
How much?
Another way to modify your image is when you have it highlighted like this, you can go to the effect controls, open up the motion menu, and through here you can increase the size and reposition your image as well. But we do that through numbers or values. So just very quickly, video works exactly the same as an image. As an example here, I'm gonna import just a random video. If I click and drag this video to my timeline, you see that the video will play right above my my original video. Now, if I want to resize this video, I'm going to double click. And you can see it better how both of my videos are playing at the same time. Now, the problem here is that the video that I imported has audio. So what I want to do is I'm going to hold down Alt in my keyboard. I'm going to click on the audio of the imported video. And I'm just going to delete that. So now we only have the video itself with no audio. So now we're going to move on to text within Premiere. I'm going to create a very quick intro text. I'm going to start by selecting the type tool. That's the very last, the very bottom, shaped like a T. As soon as I have it activated, I'm going to click anywhere on the preview panel. So click once, and that activates this typing cursor. It's like a red rectangle. And once I have that activated, I can type in my title. So I'm going to call it My Nature Trip. So now if I want to move my title, I'm going to go back to my selection tool. And this allows me to move my title anywhere. I'm going to move it here. So now let's say I want to change the color of my text. I'm going to open up the effect controls. I'm going to scroll down a bit. And then under appearance, I can change the color to maybe red. And you can also change the font size or font style as well. Step number 6. So we're going to be making some quick captions. Just as an example here, I have a little bit of dialogue. And what I'm going to do is I already have my captions all written out. So I'm just going to copy and paste this first one here, Command C. And this one starts at 6. So if you're doing captions with the text tool, I recommend having them typed out first. So you don't have to worry about listening in and typing that right on the spot. I'm gonna activate my text tool here. I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna Command V to paste. I'm gonna go to my selection tool and I'm just gonna make this into a quick caption. I'm gonna reduce the font size. I'm gonna change the color to white. Make it a little smaller. So. And the thing about stylizing your text, under appearance, you can add a shadow, just a quick shadow. It typically makes text more legible. So I'm just gonna click a quick shadow here. And I'm gonna play my video.
The first thing we encounter is a waterfall.
And I'm gonna trim my captions a bit.
The first thing we encounter is a waterfall.
Right, so as your professor was saying, you can use text as a caption maker. Moving on with step number 7, we're going to be working with audio. So in this example here, I'm going to import a music file. It's just an MP3. And I'm going to click and drag this to the bottom of my timeline.
Wow, so it's noticeable that you have the basic video and all the audio goes below it, and all the pictures and
Right.
other stuff goes above it, right?
So if I play this,
The first thing we encounter is a waterfall.
now the problem is that the music is too loud. You can barely hear the dialogue. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the volume of this additional music clip. And to do that, you're going to hover over these 2 microphones here, icons, until you see this cursor. Yeah, or just hover over this. It's very hard to, kind of hard to see. But if you hover over this line here and you click and drag down, it reveals this line in between the audio. And what I can do here is I can drag this line down. And what this does, it reduces the audio of the music file.
The first thing we encounter is a waterfall.
So yeah.
Next, small.
So yeah, I'm just moving the line up and down to show you some example. You can even use this to mute the audio completely as well. So now that we have our audio layer expanded and we can see this white line, we're going to use this tool called the pen tool. It's on the toolbar. And then with this pen tool is what we can do is we can place dots inside this white line. So for example, I'm going to put a dot here. And then I'm going to put another dot here. And let's just say I'm going to put a dot here. So I have 3 dots. So let's say I'm going to move this dot, click and drag it up. And I'm going to move this dot down like this.
So what is that going to do? Volume. The volume up and down, right?
right, it's gonna gradually change the music volume. Super loud on that. See. And you can just keep adding points throughout your video. Like so. Also, one thing that's important about Premiere, sometimes it crashes. So you want to make sure that you're clicking Control S from time to time. Just make sure that if it does crash, that you have your work all saved. Control S to quickly save.
The first thing we encountered is a waterfall.
So now let's say I have my video all ready to go. I'm gonna wanna export. So I'm gonna turn this project into a MP4 file. Before I export, I'm gonna make sure that I have my audio, that the audio is the same length as my video. And the reason I do this is because if I were to export or save my video now, it'll export with this black audio and it'll just keep going until the music ends. And you don't want that. You want to make sure that this is trimmed down so that it ends right there, basically. Good. Yeah, so now to export, it's very simple. You just go to File, go to Export, and you do Media. It opens up the Export Settings window. And here, you're going to change a couple things under Format. You're going to make sure that you have H.264 selected. And all H.264 is a type of MP4 codec. Oh, wait, give me a second. File, go, H.264. And under preset, you can either choose a high bitrate or medium bitrate. High bitrate will give you the best possible quality. But if you do have a very large video, it'll probably take a while to export. Medium bitrate gives you half the quality, but it typically takes half the time to export. Sometimes you might not even tell the difference between high bitrate or medium bitrate. They're indistinguishable. So I'm just gonna go with high bitrate here. The last thing you have to do here is you make sure that you have under output name, you're gonna click on the blue title here. That opens up the browser window. And you're gonna make sure to select desktop. And under file name, this is the name of your final video. So I'm gonna call it my final video. And the reason why we save in desktop is because it's easier to access after you're finished exporting. So you can just quickly go to your desktop and grab and upload your video. You'll click save. And then after that, you're pretty much all done. You go down here and you click export. And the video should export. So now if you, give me a second. The video will begin exporting. And then after it's done, it'll close the window. You go to your desktop and the video should be there as an MP4 file.
The first thing we encountered is a waterfall.
So that's the video and it ends exactly where we want to have it at.